What's up, my fellow scruffy looking nerf herders, and welcome to the Carbonite Chat. Tonight, right now, discussing the series finale of Rebels. Probably tell by my initial reaction that I'm not in love with it. I'm a little torn on this episode. It had some really good moments. It definitely wasn't bad. It had some really good moments, had some really questionable moments. One, I had some conversations after the last one. I absolutely loved the last episode. And it had to do, obviously, with some time travel type stuff. And the complaint was, obviously, what can come from that. The many issues that begins to... it begins to arise when you start to add that into it. It's very dangerous. It basically can begin to make things look like they're absolutely meaningless because someone dies and they didn't really die. You can find a way to bring them back. You just got to figure out how to travel back in time. And it's why a lot of people say it's jumping the shark. I viewed it as a one-time thing, that it was kind of this odd journey that they took, but it's not going to be able to be revisited. But we revisited it a lot tonight, and that worries me. That bothers me, actually. Makes me nervous. And I don't think it was done as well this episode. When I was having the discussions, I said I would say if they kept it up that it's a problem, and I think this is a bit of a problem. The stuff with Emperor Palpatine trying to get Ezra to go back with his parents. It was a very emotional moment. And when he chooses not to go with his parents, that it had an emotional impact. It meant a lot for the character and where he was. The problem is it just sets up so many issues. Sets up so many problems that, okay, Emperor Palpatine has the ability to open up this door to allow someone to go back in time. Why didn't he let, Anakin go back in time and, not jump when Obi-Wan had the high ground? Why doesn't he set it up where he goes back in time and prevents the first Death Star from blowing up? Or now that he realizes where Luke's at, he goes back in time and changes something so that Luke doesn't... it just causes so many issues. And then it's not done because Ezra should be dead. Without a doubt. He died. He should be dead. But it ends with Sabine saying that she's going to try to find him. And then you see Ahsoka, who's the only other person that's been in that situation with Ezra and understands what can be done. Ezra saved her. So it very strongly insinuates that she's going to help Sabine be able to save him. So now him killing himself doesn't mean anything. He didn't sacrifice anything. Like Kanan, he sacrificed because he's dying there. In Ezra, when he died at the end, should have died, it was very meaningful. It meant a lot. It was a very emotional moment. It was a beautiful moment. I hated that Thrawn was dying in it, but I'll get to that. But now it's just, he knew because he kept telling Sabine, I'm counting on you, I'm counting on you. So it was like, hey, I'm counting on you to save me. I'm going to pretend to be the hero so everyone thinks I'm a hero, but I'm counting on the fact that I'm not actually going to have to die. It does, I don't like that. It puts a huge damper on the whole situation. But let's start back at the beginning. When it started with the Ryder Azadi thing, turning them in, I was not happy with that. First, I'll say for the overall episode, the score was unbelievable. Kevin Kiner Why won't they let him score? He needs to be the heir apparent to take over for John Williams. He did unbelievable in the Clone Wars. He's done great with Rebels. He's unbelievable at doing a score, doing an original score. Yeah, he adds some of the older themes, but this season, this series is set right around A New Hope, so it would make sense that tonally and how the music would feel is going to be the same, and so you would use some of the same songs throughout that time, and the same thing he did with Clone Wars. But he creates his own themes around it, and he does it so well, and it feels like Star Wars. It seems like the same concept with Dave Filoni, and that he's a TV guy. So, that was the whole argument when I did the video about he needs to be the head of Lucasfilm. Everybody was like, yeah, but he's not a producer. He's not a money man. He just has done TV shows. He hasn't even done a movie. I mean, what do you want? People that can put good stories together, or, people that can do stuff in Star Wars, or just random people that's got a big name that can make, that sound good on paper. I would rather have the person that loves Star Wars, can do Star Wars, and knows Star Wars. And I think Kevin Kiner can do that. His score was really good. There was a few times where I was, took a step back and kind of was like, man, this score is really incredible right now, which is something you do in Star Wars. I mean, it's a character in the films. But when Ryder Azadi did that, I was shocked. Of course, it ended up being turned around that it was a trick, which I get it's a TV show, so they're setting things up, and I need to rewatch it again. There may be something I missed inside of it, but the way Ezra was acting, telling Zeb, "Oh, they're on their way," it was the show trying to trick you that he definitely is, that this isn't a plan. So that kind of, maybe it was done better than I remember it being done, but I don't think so. But I'll leave that open to the possibility that it was, that now understanding the whole situation, that you can see how Zeb and Ezra interact there, that you knew it was a plan. That, I didn't like how Governor Price was kind of handled, and when it was revealed that it was a trap, it was a trick, it was like she didn't even realize it was a trick. She just kept talking like she had won the day when they've clearly pulled something on you. It made her out to be just incredibly stupid, and I didn't like that. It just didn't seem logical. When they made the comment that when they went and met the old clones back on Selos, that it was that they weren't going to use the rebellion, that the rebellion wasn't going to help, that they were doing this on their own. I was like, oh, okay, so they're going to win the day, because they couldn't win with the rebels, because the rebels' first win was at Scarif. So Dave Filoni found a way around it, and he said, "Oh no, they're not working with the rebels now. They're just going to free Lothal." So the second he said that, I was like, "Oh, okay. So that's how they're going to do it. That's how they're still going to win." Which, unfortunate, but I get it. It was again a meaningful ending. The ending reminded me of Lord of the Rings, which I guess we'll get to when we get there, but. The other issue I had was the constant making it look like Rook was being killed. Like he was being thrown off of cliffs like every 2 seconds, but he always came back. It was like the first one was alright. Then they did it again. And the whole use of the Loth Wolves, like I get it, but it's the animal stuff was getting a bit too much. Like peppered in episodes, and then it's like it all came together at the end, which I get. That's what Dave Filoni's trying to do. He's trying to put it all together so it all makes sense and everything connects, But that just, for me, I wasn't a fan of, the Animal Planet ending that we had going on there. The one thing I will say that I really did like was the use of Hondo. I thought his connection with Ezra that we've kind of seen throughout the series, but just I really felt it at this episode where he was like, I'll do anything for that boy. And it was, he's always had a weird connection with the Jedi. He had this weird connection with Obi-Wan, and he's always respected the fact that they always stood for something, and it's always meant something to him, and he would always end up helping them over anyone else. Even if it kind of hurt him actually in the situation, he would help out the Jedi because he always respected them, and he held that respect. And so to see him have that with Ezra, I really, really like that. I really like that situation. Sadly, of course, one of the only characters to die in the episode is one of his buddies, the Ugnaught Melch, ends up getting killed. I was surprised Zeb didn't die. Of course, they killed off Rook, and they killed off Thrawn, which just baffles the mind. But then again, if they can save Ezra, maybe they can save Thrawn. That just... See, this is the problem with time travel and being able to go through these portals and stuff. It makes everything so messed up. So they end up saving the day. I thought the battle there was kind of odd at the Rebel kind of outpost. It just seemed weird. You had so much going on, and it didn't seem to be structured in such a way where the camera was moving to allow you to fully understand what was 100% going on. There wasn't a direction that it seemed to be that was trying to tell you a story of that fight. It was just, here's everything happening, as opposed to like putting you in a spot to where you see certain moments of the battle that you're supposed to see, like it did a few times with, it followed Governor Price for a little bit, and it showed her fear of the Lothwolves going around. Or you had, before they revealed that it was a trick, and you had Rook walking, and you had Ryder Azadi, and he pulls up the gun, and then he puts it down. And like those little moments that are telling the story of what's happening with the characters in the battle, at least first time watching it, and again I need to rewatch it, but it just seemed like the battle was more pulled back, and there wasn't enough of a story in the battle outside of that, hey, there's a battle happening here. And that was kind of a letdown. You need those things to happen. You need those moments with characters. And it needs to not be step back, stuff's happening, and there's a lot of chaos going on, and then hop back into like one character and here's something happening, and then we solve the issue with this happening, and then hop back out here and then just watch the chaos going on. It doesn't flow. It kind of ruins the pacing of the battle itself, and I felt that was kind of an issue in that. It was sitting back, and there was one scene where it was just like you had a Lothwolf run by this way, you had a Lothwolf run by this way, and then you had the ghost fly back this way, and then it was just kind of like you're just sitting here and you're just watching stuff go by. And that's just not really well done when you're looking at directing a scene. That's one of the most brilliant ones ever, of course, was Saving Private Ryan. Of course, J.J. Abrams kind of ripped off part of it with the beginning of The Force Awakens. But whether you like The Force Awakens or not, that opening scene is structured brilliantly to tell you the story of the battle. And you are told the story of the battle through what happens with Finn. And it's mimicking what you see with Tom Hanks at the opening of Saving Private Ryan. And that's how you direct a battle scene. Same thing at Takodana with Finn, where it's moving along with him. You're following his character's movements, and that's telling you the story of the battle. But your personality, the storyline of the battle that you're focusing on, is his character and what's happening to him in that battle. And then you have the periphery going on that explains it and expands it and gives it more depth. But this one didn't quite have that. And then it goes forward. There's a plan. You don't know the plan. There's so many issues. You had Ezra mentioned to Sabine for the first time as they're flying to, I can always count on you, which is when I knew I was like, he's going to die. And so they get there and they're trying to figure out what to do. And it seems like that middle chunk was missing something. That it didn't keep up story-wise. Where the middle part of the story didn't do as much. You had Ezra where it did a lot with his character. Where he turns himself in. And everyone has to trust him. But once everyone has to trust him, you don't really have a connection as much to what's going on. At least I didn't. I felt that whenever it would cut back to them, again, it's just so much chaos of what's going on with so many characters that you feel pulled out. Hera would be sitting in and say, what's going on? And at one point, Ketsu would answer. At another point, Kallus would answer. At another point, Zeb would answer. At another point, Gregor would answer. And then here's Hondo and his Ugnaught friend. And it just, boom, was hopping to so many different situations. And from time to time, you got to see those different characters. But usually that's a setup for them about to die. So if you look at like Return of the Jedi, you have Endor, you have the space battle, you have Luke in them. But what you have in the space battles, you have Lando and you have Akbar. And then the other characters outside of there are usually characters that would pop up as flying that would have a conversation with Lando or Akbar and then be killed. That gives you that kind of reminder of like, hey, your people could get killed at any point. Or then it would go down to Endor and you're following what Han Solo and Leia are doing to try to get in. And it would cut to some Ewoks and stuff as well, but it would usually be structured in such a way that you're understanding what you're seeing with the Ewoks is connected to them getting to be able to make it to the outpost on the moon of Endor. And it just felt like this again was another moment where the battles just weren't structured in a way to keep you connected and personally invested throughout. That was how I felt. I had just paused the TV and then it started playing again. Sorry about that. But that's how I felt with that. And the Ezra stuff, I enjoyed it. I liked that. But I just felt the other stuff around it didn't work quite as well. And it made the middle seem kind of like harder to remember, not as memorable. You can pick pieces out, but you remember what happened at the beginning, you remember what happens at the end, but that middle part doesn't really quite hold up compared to the rest of it. Now Ezra meets Palpatine. I enjoyed the Palpatine stuff as always. I love Palpatine. And seeing him portray himself as kind of the younger senator to make him look much more accepting to Ezra, I thought was very interesting. And then to go from that to his offer, ignoring for now what I've already said about disliking the time travel thing. I did enjoy his manipulation and how he played Ezra. Brilliantly, as he always does, of course, Ezra ended up saying no on this one. And that's fine. I guess I can live with that. But I really enjoyed the fact that he was giving this offer. He was pretending to be, as nice as can be. That he's Ezra deserves this. You've earned this. You need to have your parents. And it was set up with the last episode where Ezra, after watching Kanan die again, made the comment and was like, I wish that, I could just be back on Lothal with my parents and none of this would have happened. So it was setting up, here's your chance. You have that possibility now. And he ends up turning it down. And it was a very emotional moment, very great moment. It kind of mimicked a little bit Rey's scene in the mirrors, where she's trying to figure out herself, and she's reaching at the mirror with the goal of seeing who her parents are, which makes no sense. But she wants to see her parents, even though she knows what her parents look like. But it just, anyways, one thing at a time. But so they walk up, and he has them right there, and it's just a simple touch away, and then he ends up shutting it down. And I liked from the point that he shuts it down that then the transmission between the Emperor flashes from Emperor Palpatine, Senator Palpatine really, to Darth Sidious, and it keeps flashing back until finally it sticks with Sidious. And I really enjoyed the Red Guard that came in. I really enjoyed their weapons. I enjoy that they were strong enough to be beating Ezra, because it's Palpatine. Why would he have guards around him that aren't incredible? Like, he's as powerful as can be. You really don't need any. So if he's going to have any, is that he's not just going to have, window dressing that's not able to do anything. So to be able to have those, I don't know what they're called. It'll be interesting to find out exactly what those are called. The weapons they used, I like that. I like them being able to hold it off. Where Ezra wasn't really able to do much of anything. He was just shut down right off the bat. I didn't like that then you had to have the stormtroopers run in and then just miss. The kid's just sitting there, floating in the air, not moving. I mean, I know it's become a meme now that stormtroopers can't shoot, but oh my God. I mean, come on. That was just like, why add to the insult of what's going on here? Of course, he gets the rocks and throws it, and that ends up allowing him to escape. Which, if Lothal wins, it's the first time that someone's kind of taken back over from the Empire. Why would they not return? That's exactly what they would do. We know from the Aftermath novels that Palpatine set up a plan that lasted a year after his death, that if he died, the whole plan would basically structure itself so that it destroyed everyone, so that no one else would be able to gain control after him. That it would destroy the Empire, because if they couldn't take care of the Emperor, they don't deserve to exist anymore. That's the type of person he is. Yet we're supposed to believe that the first group escapes, that Lothal has broken free of the Empire's hold, and then they're not going to retaliate. Now, if this was a story and this happened on Alderaan, okay, I say, wow, that's incredible. Because what you see is then they did retaliate. They just waited, and then they blew it up with the Death Star. And here's what happens if you try to rebel against the Empire. We'll blow your entire planet up to where no one exists anymore. That would be awesome. You want to talk about a great man? Why would they not do that? That would have been an incredible. It's a great way to set it up, all these characters, and then make A New Hope be so much more amazing, because when you watch that planet blow up, you know the people down there now. You know what they fought and did to be free, and then boom, they're gone. Now, I understand the issue. You would have had to have Leia on there, Bail Organa, all stuff, but that would have been a positive if that's how you started off the show. But anyways, it didn't happen. That would have been smart. It just doesn't make sense where at the beginning of the show, beginning of A New Hope, it's treated as if no one's ever rebelled, and right now, here's what we're going to do to prove no one even needs to question it. Now, maybe you could say that they blew up Alderaan because there had been a rebellion. The rebellion had been built up. Lothal had been freed, and some people were starting to be like, hey, maybe we should try to free our planet as well. And so Palpatine said, we're almost done with the Death Star. Let's just wait till that's done. Then we'll use it. And maybe he had planned to use it on Lothal, but then Tarkin decided to use it on Alderaan because it made a point just as well on its own. And Lothal's kind of out on the outer rim a little bit. So maybe I don't know. It just, there's so many little iffy, fishy things. It's normally not the case with Dave Filoni. But on this one, it kind of became the case where there's a lot of little issues throughout it that causes too much problem. Ahsoka's now alive at the end of after Return of the Jedi. She lived through all of it. Where was she? Why didn't she help out Luke? I'm sure they're going to come up with some reason or some comics where she's going to have helped out Luke between Empire and Return of the Jedi, and that's going to be cool and all. But it's just odd now. Like it doesn't really fit or work. Like I just, you're changing so much about that now. Those characters were those characters, and to bring it, like at this point, okay, well, yeah, you can say Ahsoka's not a Jedi, but I mean, she is. I mean, really, she kind of is. I mean, we're just getting into semantics here. She's on the light side of the Force. Definitely, she's not even anywhere near the dark side. She's not a gray Jedi. She's not gray at all. So, it just, why didn't she ever try to help Luke? She was clearly helping out the rebellion with Bail Organa and all that stuff. If she found out that Bail was killed on Alderaan by the Death Star, wouldn't she try to help and assist on that? It just, there's so many little issues. She was great friends and close with Rex. Rex fought on Endor, so that's true that guy was Rex, but yet here we are with Ahsoka, was nowhere around to help. She was just like, whatever. I don't really care. I mean, what is she doing? I thought they were going to do some message with Sabine that what Ezra had meant by do your job, what I'm trusting you to do what you do, is that she was going to basically have learned that it wasn't about fighting, that wasn't what she needed to do, that she needed to use her art to then go around and spray paint and paint everywhere to spread the word of what the rebels had been doing. I thought that had been a really interesting kind of ending point, a nice little note of something else you can do to kind of, build hope and build like a desire to rebel against an evil empire. And it would have fit very well with what Ezra said about, when he was talking to Thrawn, he was like, you don't deserve this, you didn't earn this, and it would have fit with that. And she may well have, but it didn't really say that. But then it was set up that when she finally figured out what it was that she's got to go rescue him. And I mean, I don't know if they're setting up some kind of future relationship with them. Is this a future trilogy? Is this what they're gonna be the characters that are in the new possible TV animated series, the Star Wars Resistance? I don't know. It just seems odd. They've talked about the possibility of a TV movie. Maybe that's what they'll try to do on the new platform that they're doing. The new Disney platform is they'll do an animated movie that kind of answers all this stuff up. Speaking of that, Hera, I thought she was pregnant. In one of the earlier scenes when she's walking and Ezra's talking to the picture of his mom and dad, she walks up and she kind of touches her stomach real quick, and I was like, she's pregnant. And of course she ended up being pregnant. Odd that the kid's got green hair. I don't know if they're trying to just say because she's a Twi'lek that that's the reason why. Odd, but I mean, it's cool, it's fitting. Jason, could that have a connection with Jason Solo? I don't know, but I mean, the ending. As soon as I saw the well pop up, this is going back to Lothal. As soon as I saw the wells come up, the Purgils show up, I knew that Thrawn was going to die, and I hate that. There's a new Thrawn novel coming out. You had the potential to set him up to where he could have been sent to the Outer Rim or the Unknown Regions. In the original Thrawn book, the first Thrawn book, not the originals that are legends now, but the canon one, him and the Emperor are really close, and the Emperor's trying to use him to map out the Unknown Regions. You could have easily have had him hold them or stop them or do something, and the Emperor say, all right, I don't need you here right now. You handle what I needed you to handle here. Go to the unknown regions and map that out and do this, or go back to the Chiss if you can and save them, do whatever you need to do with them, but I need you to map out, and as long as you continue to send me maps of the unknown regions, if you ever need me, I will send the Empire out there to help you. There you go. And now you write a book. Get Timothy Zahn to write a book about what happens there. But now he's writing a book, but we know Thrawn's dead. What are, I mean, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's probably going to be great. The first Thrawn book was really good as well. The canon Thrawn book. Disney canon Thrawn book. And I mean, I'm going to read it because I love Thrawn, but that was just, I didn't like how he went. You know, the Purrgil came up and the tentacles came around, and you remember back from the end of season 3, the season finale of 3, where the Bendu says that, you know, I see your death. It's like a bunch of arms wrapping around you. And so that's, of course, exactly what happened. I outside of Thrawn dying in that I didn't like. And then I enjoyed how Ezra went. I just hate that now it's not sure that he went. It was a perfect ending for him. I didn't even like that character that much. He's not one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, but that was a beautiful, perfect ending for him. It set up everything. There is no more Jedi in heading into A New Hope, but he's made everyone believe in the Jedi, so that when they hear about Luke doing something, everyone's like, oh my God, I knew a Jedi as well. You know, that kind of thing. And then him to leave the message afterwards that, you know, he left the Malay Run, I can't say it, for Hera, told Zeb he could have the top bunk, and then as soon as he said, for now, I was like, no, don't ruin this ending. Don't ruin it. But anyways, then that was where I talked about, it was kind of like a Lord of the Rings ending, where it was kind of like touching off on base of here's everyone doing this. Let's look at how their life's going from this point on. And it was an extended ending, which is fitting for when you have such a long story. You need a little bit longer of a tie up at the end of the story. And then it was really Lord of the Rings ending, where Sabine, not satisfied with where her journey had brought her and still needing to go to this one more step to be able to find the happiness, or be able to finally accomplish and get rid of this kind of monkey on her back, so to speak, or ring on her finger. And then there's kind of like there's a ship that's looks like sails, that kind of looks like the sails for the ship that the elves all take to wherever they're going. I'm sorry, I love the Lord of the Rings, but I don't know it like Star Wars. I don't know the names of it, so it's probably somebody that's going to get annoyed with me not knowing the names of it. Sorry. And Frodo goes, and Gandalf is standing there, and Ahsoka was kind of standing back there waiting for Sabine to come, very much like a Gandalf type character, especially with the facts of her dying and coming back, and her kind of mysterious existence at this point. But I don't know, man. Those are my feelings. I don't know if anything I said was worthwhile for anyone, because I don't know. It's an odd ending. It leaves a lot of gaps, a lot of openings, a lot of issues running up. One little interesting note I'll just throw in there is that they've said Simon Kinberg is working on a movie, and he was one of the main writers for this. Now, he was one of the main executive producers for Rebels, so he's been a part of it the whole time. But seeing that he was on the end of this with Dave Filoni, and that he's writing another script, could it be something to do with this? I don't know. Just a little interesting thing. I look forward to hearing all of your thoughts. Maybe Maybe it'll be something to help me along the path of fully grasping or understanding this. I mean, I think I understand it. I think it was a little bit of a letdown because I had high expectations for Dave Filoni. Again, this was not a bad episode. Do not think I'm trying to say this was a bad episode. Like, this is still, much better than the movies, but it just, when I say movies, I say I'm talking about Disney movies, not the original trilogy. But it wasn't up to what I expect from Dave Filoni. And so it definitely wasn't bad. It was good. It had some really good moments. It had some pretty bad moments. And then it had some moments. And so it's just kind of like, it's like a B minus episode to kind of wrap it all up and end it up. I can probably just run on forever, and I don't want to run on forever. I kind of got my thoughts out, and so we can discuss them in the comments. Hear your thoughts, feelings, whether I'm right or wrong. I look forward to discussing them with you, seeing what you think. I don't know. This is an odd feeling. Not the feeling I was expecting. Maybe I'm just really tired. I am really tired. So maybe that's why. I'll watch it again tomorrow. But of course, more importantly, I'll have all the discussions with you down below. I'll post some videos up here. Not that that matters that much. And I have a link to my TeePublic page down below. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. And never forget, you Nerf herders, I love you.